Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, the DRF race of the day for Friday, July the 29th, race number 7 at Saratoga. We kick off the 50-cent late pick 4 with a potential prep race for the Travers. It's the Curlin, 3-year-olds going a mile and an eighth, a restricted event. $135,000 is the purse. Want to view free Formulator past performances for this race? Head to the Race of the Day page at DRF.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel and bet this card with DRF Bets. Let's take a look at this field. Scan the QR code for Race of the Day access on your mobile device. And my creative minister, third in the Preakness, last seen in the Belmont Stakes, is a very deserving favorite in this spot.
Yeah, I think so too. This is an interesting race overall, but creative minister, that is clearly the horse to beat in here, Dan. Just the horse who's shown a lot of potential. They put him on Triple Crown timing. He ran okay in the Preakness, did not run as well in the Belmont the last time we saw him. A little bit of a step back in class for him here.
Certainly a mile and a half could have been the excuse in the Belmont. And you're right, a lot of folks were talking about him going into the Belmont as this lightly raced horse, but he did keep the Triple Crown schedule. He won an allowance race on Derby Day. He ran 2 weeks later in the Preakness, and of course 3 weeks later in the Belmont. One of the good things about Creative Minister is his tactical speed. We throw up the Timeform US pace projector. Our friends at Timeform US do not believe that this race could favor closers. A blue bar means it favors horses on or near the early lead. Creative Minister can get close to AP Secret.
Yeah, I mean, he does have good tactical speed, so it feels like there's a good trip coming for this horse. There are, a few of his, I guess, horses that you would consider as main rivals don't seem like they have as much speed as he does. So that's, certainly a benefit to him. I don't have any, big argument with how the pace projector lays this thing out.
The number 1 Western River will need some help, according to the pace projector. Now, he was close to the pace last time out, but that was going, a mile and a half at Churchill Downs on the dirt, where he was close to a glacial pace. It's nice to see that this horse has improved in his last few starts, and the Peter Pan two-back, an excuse. He ran into a horse that just freaked over a wet track.
Yeah, and this horse stumbled pretty awkwardly at the start of that race, too. I actually felt like his Peter Pan was a deceptively good effort, even though he was beaten more than 10 lengths down. I mean, he just missed second and third there at the end with a pretty good late run. His first 2 starts as a 3-year-old back on dirt at Oaklawn, I thought he ran well in both of those. He had good paces to close into in both of those races, but he also ran well. It feels like he took steps forward. He ran well in the Peter Pan. He crushed that field last time. It was a pretty bad field, as you might expect, for 3-year-olds going a mile and a half on the dirt in a race that's not called the Belmont Stakes. Those aren't good horses, but this is a good horse, and he ran really well in there.
The number 2, Gilded Age, is an expensive son of Medaglia d'Oro, trained by Bill Mott. And he kind of broke out with a third-place effort in the Withers in his seasonal debut. That was a race won by early voting, one of the top 3-year-olds in the country, and of course, who won the Preakness. That pace was fast, however, and Gilded Age, you got the feeling, took advantage and got up for third. I don't mind that they took a chance to run him in the UAE Derby. He was probably overmatched, but at that point, where was a horse like Gilded Age going to run for 7 figures in a major race? They gave him some time after that. He showed up at Churchill Downs. He got a very hot pace to run at, which is what he needs. He flew home that last 3/16, though.
Yeah, you had to like the way that he finished in that race, but man, did he take advantage in there. Personally, Dan, as well as this horse ran in there, I think the runner-up probably ran the best race in that spot and just took a tough beat. 22-4, 45-4 in front of this horse. He just came wide to the stretch and powered down the outside. I like him as a horse. I do think he has some talent. I don't see this race setting up well for him, Dan. I think he might need a little help to beat this field.
And that's really the concern, because a mile and an eighth, you just get the feeling, is right down his wheelhouse. But if you look at the pace projector and just scan the PPs, this horse doesn't have any speed. And I don't think he can adapt to a slower pace. It's just basically hoping for the best up front and maybe getting a trip. The 3 is AP's Secret. This horse ran okay in the Wood Memorial 2 starts back, going a mile and an eighth. He pushed the aforementioned early voting, and he got tired at the end. Let's watch his subsequent start, the Texas Derby. They dropped him in class, slightly in distance, and he's up close to the pace on the outside here, but the finish just isn't there. The 5th place horse would come back to run second in the carry back at Gulfstream with an 87 buyer. He has speed. That's a big edge in this race. I'm just not sure about a mile and an eighth for him.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the distance. I'm just not sure how good he is, actually, Dan. I don't know. I didn't think he ran that well in this race. Obviously, you can see him there getting tired at the end. He was never a real threat despite going favored in that race. His prior 2 starts against, some of the better 3-year-olds, they weren't total disasters, but he didn't run that well in either of those races either. I just don't know how good this horse is.
The number 4, Make It Big, is making his first start for trainer Todd Pletcher. The fact that he hasn't run since February and Pletcher's putting him in this spot, I think is a pretty good sign. He didn't fire in the Sam F. Davis last time out, a race in which he was wired by a quality horse named Classic Causeway. But he was up close to a solid pace that day before tiring. He can stay close to the pace, especially because I believe he's going to be fresh off the layoff.
Yeah, I think all those things are true, Dan. I had a tough time trying to decide what I wanted to do with this horse. I do think he's going to be forward early, and that's probably an advantage. And listen, the first 3 starts of his career were all pretty good. I actually thought his Springboard Mile was a decent performance, maybe not against the greatest field in the world, but he ran well that day. I don't think you're supposed to be too hard on him for the Sam F. Davis. The first time they tested him, he wasn't up to the test then. But as you've already pointed out, it's been a long time since we've seen him. He could have really done some development during this time off. And Pletcher seems like he has a little bit of confidence in this horse.
It's fair to wonder whether the number 5 Golden Glider is just a little bit exposed against Stakes Company. Now he's dropping out of 5 graded stakes races, including the Belmont, where he finished well behind Creative Minister. And I guess his Peter Pan was okay. No match for the winner. It was a wet track. He does have some competitive buyers 2 and 3 back, a little bit of tactical speed.
Yeah, another horse who they tried him in some of the better races for 3-year-olds during the spring. He ran okay in some of them. Never looked like he was going to be a real factor in any of them. But I guess he ran fine. His Belmont, another horse. I don't think you're supposed to be too hard on him for it. Again, Dan, I feel like I say this about all these horses in this race. I don't know how good this horse is really. And I just wonder if he's going to be the kind of price that would get me interested.
The number 6 is Wolfe County. I think Kenny McPeak figured out what this Medaglia d'Oro colt wants to do, and that is go long. Dropped him in for 50. First time for McPeak. Just missed that race, going a mile in his 16th. And last time out, they stretched him out all the way out to a mile and 3/16, and he got it done. And that pace was pretty solid for that distance. It was a maiden race. It's a big step up in class.
It is, but I agree with what you said about him. Right? I feel like McPeak maybe figured this horse out a little bit. I don't know what was going on with him, for his prior trainer, because obviously Brendan Walsh knows what he's doing. This horse just wasn't that good as a 2-year-old. He came back off the layoff. McPeak stretched him out. He did drop him first time out off that layoff, but I thought he ran well in that race. That was a pretty good pace that he was on in there. Came back last time, improved again while sitting just off the lead. I mean, he's bred to be a good horse. Medaglia d'Oro have to exaggerator. It feels like he's just starting to find himself now, Dan, and he's pretty interested in here at a big price.
McPeak has the favorite in the 7, Creative Minister, who ran very well in the Preakness, albeit with a nice trip. He was in a bit tight in the opening furlong, but soon found a good spot tracking the pace in the second flight. He came out in the stretch. He just wasn't good enough to run with 2 very good 3-year-olds in early voting in Epicenter, and just seemed flat last time out in the Belmont, a race which produced Nest, who earned a triple-digit buyer last week in the coaching club.
Yeah, I mean, he just didn't run that well in the Belmont Stakes. The distance is an obvious excuse for him there. His prior races are all good. I feel like he's the horse to beat in this race, just taking a slight step back. I feel like he's facing a pretty decent field here, though, Dan. A bunch of horses who have, a little bit of upside and feel like they're getting better with every start. So I don't think he's some kind of cinch in here, but he's the horse to beat.
The number 8 is Be Better, a horse that only raced once as a 2-year-old last year sprinting at Saratoga and had the misfortune to run into Jack Christopher that day, and he was just simply run off of his feet. He was given plenty of time. He's come back. They've given him 2 turns. He's responded with 2 wins, including this effort at Monmouth Park, a post-level allowance on the 4th of July, where he showed good tactical speed. He's well in the clear on the outside, and he grinds these horses down, earning a 91 buyer speed figure. He's all upside.
Yeah, he is. His debut last year sprinting, he was never really involved in that race. Not that he was ever going to beat Jack Christopher anyway, but you could just tell, right from the gate that he just wasn't a sprinter. He didn't break well from the gate. He didn't have any speed at all, but he ran through the stretch and he almost got up for second in there. That was a sort of an underrated debut. He's come back with some distance this year, has really, really improved for Pletcher. He's kept up close to the pace, finished well in both of his starts. This horse has a chance to be all right.
And completing this interesting field is the 9 Artorius. This is a Juddmonte homebred trained by Chad Brown, by Arrogate, out of the good sprinter Paula's Silver Lining, who I believe is a half or a full sister to Dad's Caps, a good sprinter as well. So it'll be interesting to see how Artorius does from the outside post, stretching all the way out to a mile and an eighth. Looked pretty good last time out at Belmont, and maiden going mile. We see Artorius kind of cruising in behind the three horses on the lead, is going to get the split, comes on through, and the third place finisher would come back to graduate with a 91 buyer.
Yeah, I thought this horse ran well. I thought he ran well in his first start at Keeneland sprinting. I thought he ran even better here. He did get a really good trip, but this is a game performance. He's going to fight off Gasoline late. Now, Gasoline came back and didn't run as well in his next start, but the horse that beat him is that horse you were just talking about, the gray right there, who finished third, Winnet, who came back and really improved in his next start. So I don't know. I feel like he beat a good field last time going a mile. We'll see how far he wants to go. You're right. Irrigates, it feels like they want to go longer. This is all sprint on the dam side, but there's a lot of class down there.
Before we get to our top picks, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for all the latest DRFTV video presentations. Time for our top pick for Friday's race of the day, the Curlin. Again, we kick off the 50-cent pick 4. Be Better just seems to be getting better and better, and I think is tactical enough under an aggressive rider to find a good spot going into the first turn.
Yeah, I liked what I've seen from this horse. Basically in all three of his starts, but certainly in the two since Pletcher stretched him out. I think this is a good spot to try him against some better horses. This is a good field. He's going to have to be, probably take another step forward here, Dan. But I think this horse is pretty good. He could be a player the second half of the year for the 3-year-olds.
I'm going to need some pace and race luck, but I know my top pick, the 2 Gilded Age. A will be a price. B has run some good races. I liked the race last time out, albeit with a good pace. I didn't mind his race in the Withers 3 starts back against early voting. So I'm hoping for a little hitting up front. 8176 for Mike, 2987 for me. It's the Curlin. Maybe we'll get a Travers entrant or two out of our race of the day on Friday. Good luck.